Hi there, welcome to Hedera Wyckoff technical analysis session. So Hedera has seemingly fallen outside of the upward channel box. So what are we going to expect next? Let's find out. This is the weekly chart. As usual, we start with the higher level time frame because that's going to govern what can happen in the daily. So we'll get to the daily in a few minutes. This is the candle of this current week that we're in now, and what we're seeing here is it has fallen outside of the upward channel box that started sometime back in April, and we still have 2 days and 21 hours left for this week's candle. So we don't know whether it will climb back to the channel box, but then because the lowest price point has fallen outside of the orange key level as well, that's 21 cents. Anyhow, we need to adjust the channel box, so the rate of climb or the slope of the box should be a little bit lower, or flatter. So let's adjust it this way. So we just want to keep the bottom edge touching the lower end of the wicks, and also the ceiling of the box touches the tip of the wicks above. So that's roughly about it. Yeah, more or less this way. So it's not as steep as before, but still an uptrend. However, given its prolonged sideways activity, we can definitely see a triangle over here. So there are two decision points, let's put it this way. So what are the dates for those decision points? One is very obvious, that you usually see me talk about. This triangle formed between the yellow key level as well as the bottom of the upward channel box. So that date currently is pointing towards mid-November. So that's 25 cents yellow key level crossing the bottom. November 17th is the week that a decision should have been made, meaning before this point a breakout would happen. So either it's going to really cause us to adjust the upward channel box again, or totally fallen outside of it depending on the scale, or it's going to go above the yellow key level and head towards the green to challenge the green of 29 cents. So that's the first reference point in terms of timing. And the second reference point is if we draw a line over here, taking these two wicks as references, if the candlesticks stays within this pattern, so when I say pattern, is this line and this line, still the bottom edge of the upward channel box, but then this white line I've just drawn, this point is somewhere near mid-October. So October 13th, that week, is probably the last time it's going to stay within here. Well, likely it's going to exhibit similar sense, like is it going to go outside of the upward channel box, or is it going to the upside towards the yellow key level? So it's about 1 month earlier than the first time point I mentioned. So this second time point over here that happens earlier is around mid-October. So it's only about 3 weeks from now. So having explored the time point as well as the stage where we are seeing for Wyckoff, last time we talked about this LPSY, that's probably the case, and we can, before I take out the question mark, because there we have two actually, yeah, this mini peak, just to save some effort and not to make the chart too busy, I'm not going to tag this one, but this one we're going to put it here, and I'll let the question mark stay for another week. Let's get back to the candlesticks. So just to switch on the Bollinger Band corner squeeze, currently there's no squeeze happening, but the purple is definitely coming, going to get closer to the orange if this horizontal trading actions between the orange key level as well as the yellow key level continues. So let's switch it off, and based on the current momentum, it's kind of flattening, and so I'm going to adjust the percentages. For now, it's going to be 50/50 instead of 60/40. So there's a tendency, or the tendency towards the sign of weakness is getting higher, even though the volume isn't that crazy while we have this weeks of drop. But we have to be really careful. Like I said, we still have almost 3 days left for this week's candle, so anything can happen for the remaining 2 days and 21 hours. So that's the big picture. It's kind of developing a trend that may go to the south, but then there's no squeeze happening at the moment, so maybe there won't be too much of a big price swing happening soon. So let's take a look at the daily. If I turn off the drawings and switch on the Bollinger Band corner squeeze, the previous squeeze hasn't really drive too much of a big price action. So I mentioned quite a number of times that if the Bollinger Band corner squeeze happens in the weekly chart, when the squeeze force is released, that's going to cause a bigger swing than when it happens in the daily. So that's exactly what happened. So the squeeze happened, not too big of a swing, just this wave went up and then got back to lower than where it started. So while we don't have a squeeze at the moment, again, in the weekly, not really, the daily chart, as soon as we've got a few days of horizontal trading action, these purple lines are going to go into the orange very quickly. So by next session, maybe we'll see another squeeze happening. So combining that with the lines that we have drawn, you see today it's climbing, trying to climb back to above the orange key level, but then it got rejected. You see the candle body is trapped between these two lines, the light blue and the orange key level. So it has reached a decision point, because tomorrow is the last day it can go into the gap. By Sunday, it's already at the cross. So currently it's a big battle between the bulls and the bears. So let us know where you want to head to, I mean the big guys. So this double top over here, now we're kind of finished and get to a point where it seems like it has reached the selling climax level back in beginning of this month. So it's very quick distribution over there, and we have dropped lower than that. And for this, I'll say it's more like a question mark for now. I'm trying to pull the PSY, so this may well be a preliminary support for this drop over here. Whether or not this is really the selling climax, and are we seeing already an automatic rally, we'll have to wait for a few days before we can determine that. So if it really starts to accumulate again over here, it may come up to this point and then find support along the orange line. However, you see this, there's another decision point or time point over here at the beginning of November. So if the price really finishes the automatic rally and then starts to accumulate along the orange key level, sometime near beginning of November, it has to show us whether it's going to shoot up again, or is it going to drop further down to show us another accumulation test. So by that time it may not be a second test because the second test may happen somewhere in October. This may be a deeper test or even a spring, so deeper than the selling climax. So by looking at the daily chart, we're seeing something different. So these two question marks, I think we can remove now. They're definitely the buying climax and selling the second test, also the automatic reaction for mid of this month. So very quick distribution, much shorter than what we have seen over there. So I'm just checking if it comes further down, what does it look like? Yep, so I think, sorry, moving this line. Yeah, I think it's probably the case because I'm trying to see if we reach to like the point where we get to mid-October, this pattern we've talked about, how it's going to evolve potentially. It looks to me it's not going to, the slimmer chance that's going to continue within the pennant. More likely it's going to come here and then kind of trade along these orange lines. So this is more of a likely case. I think this is around 60% chance. This is more like a 20. Another 20 is going to come down to test the red level. Because across the board, it seems like the confidence is declining. So I'm not surprised that this isn't the selling climax yet. So maybe it's going to come down further, somewhere near the red key level. So that's where we have seen around June and April. So that's the picture I would say for Hedera. Not optimistic for the bulls. For the bears, maybe they start to have a better chance. So remember, upside and downside is now equal chance now, instead of like previous more optimistic, slightly more optimistic. But then the time point, mid-October is the first one, and then eventually mid-November. By then we'll see like is it really getting to the end of the distribution cycle for Hedera, because if that's the case, it's going to come down and likely get back to the long-term playground. So that's for Hedera, it's somewhere between 4 cents 50 all the way to 13 cents. So that's the accumulation range back in 2002 all the way to November last year. So it's not like too far of a history. Thanks for joining me today for Hedera. I'm going to move on to the next session. See you over there. Cheers. Hey, sorry, rock and roll. Didn't see your message until now. So will you ever go over Solana? I've not checked if you have done the sole video lately. I believe I have done one. Just quickly check. Yep, right there. So it's on the 14th. I've done one. Probably not on the 21st. So yeah, not on the 21st. Yeah, the last one was the 14th. So I'll see whether I'm gonna cover it maybe on Saturday or Sunday. Yeah, I'll go take a